we are rightly distressed when we see things in life that are not right, that are unjust. We can have a lot of different ideas about what justice is. The kind of classic idea, the biblical idea and the kind of classic human idea of what justice is that justice is to give to another person what belongs to them. We're going to come back to that. To understand how to be just, we first have to understand how to be humble. Because what happens a lot of the time? We see injustice maybe in our own lives, maybe around us, maybe in workplace, maybe in culture. And the first thing we do is we seize action, right? And there have been a lot of human beings who have been righteously upset about injustice throughout human history. Some of them have done a really good job. Some of them have guillotined thousands of people. Right? So to be just, we have to be humble first, or else we can actually become more unjust. How do we become humble? So Jesus gives us this image of a Pharisee and a tax collector. This guy who's doing all the right things, and he's in church, he's following God, he's actually kind of doing an impressive job. If you're following the whole Mosaic law, it's not easy. It's a lot of work. He's fasting twice a week. He's being really generous with what he has. That's all great. Jesus likes that. He's fine with that. But this guy is full of himself. In fact, the gospel says he doesn't pray to God. It says he speaks this prayer to himself. He thinks that he's kind of accomplished all of this. And then also in the temple with him, maybe kind of hiding in the back, I've always pictured him being in the back, there's this tax collector. Right? So a tax collector in Jesus' time he's not just an IRS agent. He's an IRS agent who is taking off the top of other people's tax returns and keeping them for himself and not reporting it. Tax collector's not good. But he's humble. He knows his brokenness. He knows his own he might have a lot of money, but he's got this inner poverty, this inner emptiness that he's not afraid to admit, right? How many of us are afraid to kind of admit our inner emptiness? But he can speak this. The Pharisee's got a dishonest prayer. The tax collector has this really honest prayer. Oh God, have mercy on me, a sinner. We're kind of formed, especially as Americans, right, not always to admit when we need help. We're formed sometimes, right, to think that dependence is a bad thing. We have a whole day to remind us that dependence is maybe not good. We call it Independence Day. And there can be an unhealthy dependence, but there can also be an unhealthy independence. Right, where we think we need to kind of prove everything for ourselves, we need to take matters into our own hands, and that once we do that, then things will be right. Sometimes it goes well, sometimes it doesn't. But we can only be just if we know how to be humble. We can only be humble if we know who we are. So C.S. Lewis explains what humility is. I think this is the best explanation of humility that I've heard, and I think it's helpful because it's pretty different from the idea that a lot of us have about what humility is. C.S. Lewis says, humility is not thinking less of yourself. Humility is thinking of yourself less. Humility is not putting ourselves down. Humility is just truthfulness, reality. And the truth, what's most real, is that you're God's beloved. That every person is his beloved. That he's created you and redeemed you. That in the person of his Son, he has sacrificed himself for you. And on the cross, joined all of humanity in all of its brokenness, in all of its suffering. Why doesn't God just end all of the injustice, all of the issues in the world, all of the problems? The first reading says, He won't be slow to act. Well, I don't know. Kind of seems slow to act. Why isn't everything fixed? But he hasn't been slow to act. Right? We want him to take all the problems away, and instead he makes himself with us the victim of all of the problems for us. Because he wants you and he wants every person to know their belovedness. If we know all of that, if we know our goodness, if we're receiving it deeply, and if we know the goodness of other people, if we really see it and believe it, and we need to ask God a lot. We need to ask him, show me my own goodness, show me the goodness of every person around me, the people I want to help and the people that I don't want to help. Then we can be just. If it starts from our own effort, it will be a disaster. Right? People who have tried to achieve justice on their own tend to make a mess. People who have started from an awareness of God's love for every person, right? Like that's why we have hospitals. They were invented by monks. That's why we have schools. They were also invented by monks. At least universities, they were invented by monks, who were aware of God's goodness and his love for every person. I found in my own life, if you ask for humility, you'll get lots of opportunities. So we ask God to give us a humility, not to make us beat ourselves up or to think less of ourselves, but to be deeply aware of his goodness and of ours, but also aware of our need for his mercy, and to make us aware of the goodness of the people around us, and ready for it to act. Jesus, have mercy on us, because we are sinners, and we do need help. We also know that you help.